Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to bring you this special bulletin. If you let a person talk long enough, you'll hear their true intentions. And nothing could be closer to the truth than what is going on in the gaming industry right now, with one developer after another, one so-called game journalist after another, revealing their true intentions, their true opinions, and their true disposition towards gamers themselves, their potential customers. Where after a while, you start to realize that these people genuinely dislike you when one so-called consulting company after another does what is seen as forcing diversity, inclusion, and equity, DIE, into the video games, into our escapism that we so love, so look forward to on the afternoons and weekends after our lovely real lives. That to the point that the story suffers, the character suffers, the gameplay suffers, and the moment you try to speak out against it, speak out about it, and just voice your opinion on this little thing, you are called all sorts of names and threatened to, quote, terrify them into what might happen if they don't do what you want them to do. In this latest lovely little article from that Park Place, game developer consultant Richie DeWitt, no wit, promises to destroy careers of video game company employees if they call out DIE policies. Now, does that sound like loving and understanding and accepting verbiage to you? Yeah, you make your own opinion. Just use their words, listen to them speak, believe what they're saying, and use your wallet accordingly. Richie DeWitt, the founder of Bare Knuckle, which I can't seem to click on their website for some reason. I keep trying to see what games I'm interested. Can we get a curator group on Steam for what they're involved in as well? Because, sounds like something needs to be done as well. Making a list, checking it twice. Which is described as, quote, an inclusive business development consultancy for experienced and up-and-coming game developers, promised to destroy the careers of anyone in the game industry that calls out DIE policies. So, my goodness, this whole, you would think organic diversity, inclusion, and equity, generally, there's no problem with that. This whole idea, this gaslighting campaign full of lies and deceit and disingenuous statements, claiming that gamers as a whole just want cis white males as their main protagonists, and yet Metroid is one of the most popular games. And anyway, with one fact after another that destroys this moronic statement, and yet it's still thrown out. The idea that that's all gamers want. It's like, no, said it before and I'll say it again. Gamers want fun games that look pretty, that play well, that have a fun gameplay loop that they can go back to. Escapism, power fantasies, call it what you will. Something to take them away from the real world. And when you start forcing this nonsense, or what they see as nonsense, some see as nonsense, I see as nonsense. When you force the nonsense in to the detriment of the story, to the detriment of the characters and the gameplay, well, we have a problem with it. As captured by former World of Warcraft team leader Mark Kern, DeWitt posted on X before locking his account down because he's a no-good coward. Quote, I've been seeing more and more hateful Gamergate-esque opinions. For all the people who have any idea what that still is, I want to be clear on where I stand. I won't tolerate any harassment, violence, or threats towards devs. What about harassment, violence, and threats towards some dude in Brazil who just formed a Steam curator page to keep track of what games Sweet Baby Stink was involved in? What about that? Are you okay with those harassment situations, that violence and threats towards him and his account? I guess rules for thee, but not for me. Threats towards devs, minorities, and women in our industry in any space that I own or have control over. Well, I'll have you know that most people don't really care for that sort of things, unless, of course, punching back. How about that? It's kind of strange that when your side started it, and yet all of a sudden gamers decide to defend themselves and retaliate against it. Now you're the victim. Your industry is the victim. Your protected group is now the victim. But heaven forbid gamers speak up for themselves. It must be Gamergate all over again. Gaslighting, disingenuous statements, lie after lie after lie, and painting gamers who have a problem with what you're doing, painting gamers as the bad guy, the people with wallets, the customer. We're the bad guys. We'll see how that works in the long run for you. He continued, I don't care about your opinions, and don't worry, we don't care about yours either, and won't go into discussions with you because you're a coward and don't know how to debate facts. You simply want to gaslight and lie like the rest of the industry, like the rest of these so-called journalists, gaming journalists, who want nothing more than to bend the knee and kiss the ring of these different Sweet Baby Inc. and all these developing companies who are just ruining their games, focus on story. Get back to the article. I'm not interested in explaining to you how little you know of the workings of the industry, and I will report and block your account. Well, nothing of value is lost. Now, I'm sorry. Let's look at this little statement right here. How little you know of the workings of the industry. Well, here's the thing. A lot of people like to use this example. If I go to a restaurant and I order filet mignon with some sauteed onions on the side and some steamed broccoli, and they bring me a bowl of Totino's pizza rolls with a side of peas, sweet peas, I'm going to complain because that's not what I ordered. Am I supposed to sit there and eat what's given to me when I see it as slop and I ordered something else? Am I the bad guy when I complain online? Am I the bad guy when I send the food back and want a refund? Because that's what you're saying right now. Gamers are dissatisfied, to say the least, with the state of the industry and some of these games that are coming out. When you dig into it and Sweet Baby Inc. is involved and you see what their company is doing, so you start questioning. And when all of a sudden a bunch of gamers started asking questions, Sweet Baby Inc. clammed up. And a couple of their employees went on the attack. When all gamers were looking for was information, how exactly did you expect your potential customers to react? Here is where things get so lovely and so juicy. He concluded by threatening, quote, and if by any chance you happen to be working in this industry and you are voicing said opinions, distaste for forced diversity, inclusion, and equity, when the story suffers, I'll screenshot you. Don't worry, we've screenshotted you over and over. You and every single one of your comrades that has decided to come out and either defend consulting companies like this, defend this behavior without giving all pertinent information, all relevant information. You've been screenshotted. Don't worry. Gamers don't always remember everything, but I think this is a little too close to home with them. We just won't let them forget. If by any chance you've been working, you happen to be working in this industry and you're voicing said opinions, I'll screenshot you, put you on a person list. I thought that made you the bad guy. I've seen quite a few articles talking about someone else made a list. Does that mean you're like him too, Richie? Interesting. Rules for thee and not for me. And advocate that you'll never work at a company I work for or associated with. Well, I can't wait for there to be a curator page with your name on it, your company on it, so that gamers can know what games your company was involved in, so that they can shut their wallets tight and stay far away from it. Good job, Grums, on doing all kinds of legwork on this. But DeWitt is not the only one to talk about tonight. While DeWitt admitted he will actively engage in this behavior, former Bungie lawyer Don McGowan, Bungie's not doing all that well. Well, we'll go former Bungie lawyer. Let's not hold Bungie accountable for this, although some of their people have been saying some pretty stupid things. Former Bungie lawyer Don McGowan admitted he had been using the tactics within the video game industry for years. And again, we're going to use their own words and hold them accountable. This is legitimate consequence culture. Isn't that the word that they use? Consequence culture? Quote, it never occurs to them that the reason nobody made games, quote, for them was because nobody wanted to make those kinds of games. What? Nobody wants your money because no one wants you in their environment. Take it from someone most of whose job was figuring out a way to get rid of you. So wait a minute. Someone you consider toxic gamers, toxic man babies who are complaining about the state of the gaming industry, you don't want them. You're trying to get rid of them, the paying customer. This is something I'll never understand. Why you would want to insert any sort of bias into who buys your games, any sort of opinion. Personally, for me, I don't care what your religious beliefs. If I was selling a project, I wouldn't care about your gender, sexuality, political affiliation, religious affiliation, or anything like that. The color of your skin, your gender, anything. I wouldn't care about any of that because green is green. Money is money. You want as many people buying your game as is humanly possible. But when you come out and make statements like this and insult a good bit of your customer base, you will always be on the losing end of this. But the quote continues, trust and safety departments exist to get assholes out of the gaming environment, he continued. You end up creating them to get rid of assholes because adult humans don't want to spend their leisure time with assholes. So probably don't want to spend any of my leisure time with you. You want to know else how I don't want to spend my leisure time? I don't want to spend it getting lectured and playing boring ass games that a message or some sort of ideology is first and foremost, and the story suffers. Again, we just want fun games. Nobody wants your money. Go spend it on anime porn. Well, I'm not sure about the anime porn part because you can get that free really wherever you honestly want to. But as far as video games go, you don't want our money. You don't want the customer's money. Challenge accepted. I'm sure there is plenty out there who will accept your proposal, will accept your terms, and move on with all that stuff. The rest of this article goes on about the lovely Chris Kindred, and my goodness, I don't even want to get into that. There's a lot of videos out there. Chris Kindred has lost his mind. He is actually the catalyst for all of this. When the curator page was made, Chris Kindred came out, lost his ever-loving mind, and started this little harassment campaign against him, trying to get his Steam account banned because all he did was create, that's Cabrutus Rambo. Cool guy. Watched him on a live stream. All he did was make a list of games that Sweet Baby Inc. was involved in and let people make their own opinions. Chris Kindred came out and attacked him, tried to get his Steam account banned, and thus the gaming industry, I'm sorry, not the gaming industry fell flat on their ass, kissing Sweet Baby's ass, trying to defend this despicable behavior. But instead, gamers got wind of it and said, no, Cabrutus Rambo is one of our own. And it was suddenly an I am Spartacus moment. Everyone stood up, voiced their opinions. Content creators across the internet, across YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, are voicing their opinions. And it's nothing but nonstop damage control from these so-called journalist websites like Kotaku, Polygon, and Eurogamer trying to defend the actions of Chris Kindred, of Sweet Baby Inc. And gamers aren't having it. And this is just another name in the long list of names to close your wallet to when you see them involved with a game. Now, I'm not asking anyone to do anything except look into it. Pay attention, listen to what they're saying, and vote with your wallet. Anyway, that was entirely too much of a pause. Thank you for making it this far. I appreciate you. Leave a like, leave a dislike, do all those nifty little things that YouTubers beg you to do, and I hope you have a wonderful night.